Hello, I'm Tony.
I'm Louie.
And this is Talking During the Movie.
It's the Talking During the Movie podcast with your hosts, Louie Gravance and Tony Whitten.
And we've got a new movie for you this week. Disney, not Disney's, Wrinkle in Time. A Wrinkle in Time. Based on the beloved children's classic by Madeline L'Engle. Now, you saw this Thursday night, like opening night.
I saw it opening night at the IMAX theater Thursday night. So
even like the preview.
Yeah. So for those that wanted to get a look at it fresh and first.
Be the first.
And there were 4 of us in the huge IMAX theater.
4 total.
4 of us total.
Ah, okay. Maybe it's a sleeper hit.
No.
I went this afternoon and the theater was not full.
Mm-hmm.
No, except for the bladders of the children sitting in the row behind me. Right. Had to get up every 15 minutes to go and do that.
You know what? I think maybe why the theater isn't that full.
Why is that?
Because nobody wants to watch a deer die on the side of the road, and that is what this is. I think this is such a mess. Usually when a movie is this expensive and this big of a mess, critics enjoy, there's sort of almost a glee about the way they take it apart. Not so with this. The overall essence of the critics writ large is, what a shame. What?
Well, I don't know if I would use those words. But
what words would you use?
I would say closer to disappointment.
Well, I mean, it's the same kind of like,
I don't know, shame is the right word.
What a shame.
Yeah, because they've taken a children's fantasy story and basically tried to make it an empowerment fable. And it wasn't pulled off very well.
No, it's quite forced. And, for people that don't know, the book was written in the mid-'60s for basically me, children my age.
It was written for you? I did not know this. We have a connection with the actual story. I didn't even know you knew the author.
It was written for white kids my age at that point in time.
Was it?
Yeah, because it was kids. It came out in the mid-'60s for kids who had been about 8 to 14. So it basically was aimed at my sensibility. It came out at that time.
See, I remember reading the novel. Like high school age or so. And then I actually have listened to the audiobook read by the author herself.
Oh, wow.
And then I remember seeing like the television miniseries that was produced a few years ago. And honestly, I cannot remember any of the story.
From any of those iterations?
I remember very little. I remember a few things. I remember there was the child who was special. I remember there was the traveling.
Really?
There was the happiest sadist and the kids bouncing the thing at the same time. And there was the I think it's called the ant beast that looked like Chewbacca that was stroking the girl's hair because you had to like get pulled out and then sent back in again to get. So yeah, but honestly, I've had this version 3 times and just couldn't recall much of the story at all.
I just reread the book 2 months ago, so it was quite fresh, and it's about a family. I mean, I'm going to cut. We don't like to give spoilers, so I'm going to cut right to the base.
Yeah, well, this is a very well-known story, so I'm not too worried about. I mean, the book has been out long enough.
Yeah, but it's important to know
there's something
that
unique to the movie.
About
I'd say
a family of 4.
Yeah,
the parents are special.
Yeah, they're
both
very
gifted.
Yes,
their son is very, very
extremely gifted,
and their daughter is confused and doesn't know how she fits in and doesn't know what her gifts necessarily are.
Right.
But that's fair.
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
The father disappears, and the children realize that to find him, they've got to cross various dimensions.
Right. And they explained it actually in the trailer, but that is not actually in the movie. I thought that was interesting.
They never bothered to explain what A Wrinkle in Time is.
No, they kind of talk around it, but they just glance and then they move on.
Okay, the thing is that the book is about our internal diversity and about how we all together fit like a puzzle through our internal diversity and all of our special faults and our gifts. This movie is about our external diversity. In your face.
Well, I see what they were going for. Just the story just wasn't told very well.
But I think the forced diversity is an issue.
You think so?
I do think it's an issue because it starts opening up odd questions, and obviously the director, Ava DuVernay, directed Selma and directed 13th. Very racially charged, important motion pictures. And I felt
And Selma was great. Yeah.
yeah, that this was... So clearly, Disney didn't trust the book because it is quaint by today's standards. It is quaint by today's standards.
You have to translate quite a bit to get it to modern audiences.
So somebody thought we're going to get an auteur and let them Julie Taymor it up. Go for it. Make it yours.
That's not inaccurate. A Julie Taymor-ish, take this, putting
take
their
this
stamp on
and
it.
do whatever
doing it,
through your lens.
Yeah.
And it's a mess. It's a mess for all kinds of reasons. It's a mess.
The soundtrack was distracting. They would play a song suddenly, and then I'm like, why is this music coming on? With this, how does this fit the scene? I found that distracting.
There's lots of bad taste. I mean, it's not, and there's nothing by
Odd
accident.
choices. Yes.
The movie is. It's not one of those movies that's like, oh, this was done by committee. This is clearly someone's vision.
Right.
Through the art, everything is someone's very specialized.
It's through a very specific lens. Yes.
And
is that the best lens to tell this story?
I don't think so, because I think that, for example, they have to go all the way out and explain that the littlest boy, the gifted one, has been adopted. Because, which is...
I felt that was handled... This is it, moving on.
Yeah, but it's weird because then it doesn't really make sense of the story, does it? I mean, then it makes sense.
I didn't think it took away from it or even added
But see,
to
then
it.
you have to... Then you're thinking, is that why Meg doesn't feel... like the rest of the... Is that why she feels odd man out? Is because she's a mixed race child? Is that part of it? Because it's...
I didn't get any of that. And I didn't think they had to go out of the way to explain all of that and have that take away from the story. I didn't think it took away from the story. I just think it wasn't told very
I thought it was distracting. I thought that...
Honestly?
Yes.
I didn't find that distracting
Every
at
time
all.
you look over the kid's shoulder, for example, there's, a wonderful quote and a picture of Maya Angelou. Or there's... So, yeah, I thought...
I didn't have that... To me, that didn't take away from it at all.
I thought it was just... I thought it was heavy-handed. I thought it was...
I didn't find it heavy-handed.
It
was
found
obvious.
It to be an empowerment story. Well, okay, obvious.
Yeah, but it wasn't like... I didn't get that impression. You could tell it was pushed. But it wasn't so
Well, we're
heavy-handed.
saying the same thing.
I just didn't think it was distracting from the story. It's like, oh, that's just how you're telling the story.
Well, maybe because I just read the book. And
Maybe.
it was suddenly like, oh, okay. And the three
Maybe
misses...
it brought you back to your childhood as in the 60s, which is very different from the telling today.
Absolutely.
Maybe that's makes it fresh.
And there's no reason why the family has to be white or it couldn't be an Asian family. I mean, absolutely no.
Yeah, that's why I didn't have a problem with that. That was handled very well.
But
part.
it still informs the sensibility.
Right. I have a problem with it when you have to justify your casting choices, when you have to take away from the story to go out of your way to explain this is why we cast this person. And there was none of that in this movie. It's just that's who they are and this is what happened. Okay, moving on. I didn't think it took any extra time away, and I didn't think it distracted. It just wasn't the best way to tell the story. The story itself.
And the three witches, they're not witches, the three misses.
Yes.
That play an integral part in the story that show up in...
I wish they'd explain them a little bit more, because I do remember that from the story.
Well, okay, first of all, in the book, they live in this sort of old house at the base of a wood, of a forest. Mm-hmm. Here, they live in West Hollywood, amongst palm trees, and a very...
Movie stars.
A very upwardly mobile, diverse neighborhood. It's
not too many people were hurt in that neighborhood. Not too many.
And again, in the book, these witches, these misses, these spirits, have a hard time even being on this plane. They're so ethereal. So they have clothes on clothes on clothes on clothes. And here it was like three drag queens from Priscilla, Queen of the Desert, just sort of showing up in cornfields and showing up. And Oprah is always the size of the Matterhorn at Disneyland.
Because she's Oprah Winfrey.
Okay, well, that's fine. And I don't have a problem with Oprah
I didn't have a problem with that neither.
But it's just that it's
a choice to tell that, yeah. I didn't have a problem with that.
It's just curious. And their look is curious, and it's why. Why do they look like that? Why do they look like that?
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe that's their stylization.
And what's Reese Witherspoon doing? What's that going on? She's wearing what looks like an unfinished prom dress, and
it's a bedsheet,
and acting sort of wacky. I have no idea what they're doing. I think those women, and this is my point. I think the story was ill-served, and I think it was ill-served by live action. I think that this book Roald Dahl books, like Charlie and the Chocolate Factory and Matilda, and even certain Broadway shows like Wicked, things that
Wicked should be an animated film.
I'm saying
Should not be live action.
They would be better served in animation.
But
And this
no one's
would-
going to make a Wicked animated
No,
movie
they're not.
because the actors will not stand for that.
Well,
They will not. The studio will not stand for
but
that. They will not
animation
make
is
the bold
so
choice
much more
to make it
advanced now.
animated.
It's so much more sophisticated than it
Yeah,
used to
I'm
be
calling it
for
right
us
now.
to-
They're not going to make a
No, they're
Wicked
not.
animated movie. They're
No,
going to make it live action
But it would serve
because
it
and
well.
they're going to give it to some auteur who has this vision.
Animation would serve it well.
It would serve it extremely better than live action would.
And animation would have served this better as well. I
Probably.
think.
Well, a lot of it is.
Because yeah, I know, but I mean,
This whole sequences. That's nothing but.
that's true. But
Yeah.
it's the live action adds a literal quality to
Yeah,
it,
where
you know,
people are more forgiving if it's completely, even if it's meant to be photorealistic.
Right.
People are more forgiving in animation.
Well,
they're willing to stretch their reality
yes,
a
it's
little
not
bit more.
so right.
Yes.
And you're dealing with a story that's talking about emotions and different dimensions and,
Mm-hmm.
and beliefs that I think would have been better served not so draftsman-like, maybe not so linear, maybe not so literal. I think it's a mess. I think the movie's a mess.
I don't know if it's I wouldn't consider it a mess.
You don't?
No, I don't think. I didn't get that impression from it.
No, I think it's awful.
You could see what they were going for, and it got close, but it missed. It would be interesting to see an animated version of this. Someone's going to do it in another 20 or 30 years. They're going to make another version of this.
That would be the better.
Perhaps they'll make an animated movie of it at that time.
It's what I think about Charlie and the Chocolate Factory. I think somebody should do an animated version of that.
Well,
And I still
Warner Brothers Animation. You're listening?
and I still say I agree with you that Wicked would be better.
The studio
served
that
way
brought
too.
you Minions. Are you listening?
But no, I think I hated it much more than you.
You know what movie I would like to see animated? The Princess Bride. I think that'd be.
That would be that would be a very ambitious thing for somebody like Brad Bird or somebody like that to do.
Yes.
Say,
because there are certain visuals that you just can't get in live action. Like to have a giant, you could only cast on for the giant who's limited by his acting ability, who's limited by his voice. You could make the giant as big as you wanted. You could cast anybody in that voice, and have it make the swordsman is supposed to be rail thin, and you could cast anyone you wanted in that voice and make them look
But
exactly.
typically,
the way you
that's
wanted.
not the way the IP works. That's not. It doesn't. It works the other way around. I think, but typically in animation they don't go get a famous property. I mean, Disney did. Bambi was a known children's book.
Yes.
And of course the fairy tales. But I mean, I'm talking about modern pop culture. I don't know. I think they should do it. I think that they're sophisticated enough, and I think it would be great.
They're doing the Grinch.
And plus, these movies make so much money. It's not like, oh, gee, we're just going to do a cartoon. I mean, these things.
Right. You could make Fly Me to the Moon, and someone's going to take their kids there.
Right. So
Anyway.
I think this is going to lose a lot of money.
I have no idea how much it looks expensive.
$120 million before, yeah.
I don't think it's going to make that back.
Well, I play the Hollywood Stock Exchange, and I would tell you that
Yeah.
the stock lost 30% of its value in about 48 hours. Because, in the old days, a movie like this could get a good weekend. Or even
They plugged the hell out of it.
They could even get 2 good weekends out of it.
Yeah.
But now with social media and
Word of mouth is so fast now.
and Rotten Tomatoes, which is turning it to be this mega, maybe for you, but for the average moviegoer, they're yes.
Don't put too much stuff
Have you
in.
not heard that the theater chains are getting real pissed off about it?
That I agree with. Yeah.
That Rotten Tomatoes can kill a movie in a weekend. What do you mean? There's another problem, is that it's being manipulated by hacks.
Yeah. People can.
Because Black
Keep
Panther
pressing the
was
button.
way lower than it should have been because of hacks, and there was another film.
Well, there's this conspiracy. I heard this conspiracy theory that DC fans, people for some reason aren't liking DC movies, so they purposely rate them lower. So they're fighting. So the DC hackers are fighting back at Marvel movies and trying to lower them.
Okay, so-
I'm like, well, just make a decent movie and then the ratings will go up. That's all you got to do. Wonder Woman. It can be done. It's not some conspiracy theory. Just because you love these characters doesn't mean the current person in charge of telling that story is going to do a good job. There's still good stories out there. It's nothing against Warner Brothers, nothing against DC. It's nothing against Superman or Batman. This was just a bad story.
but it's like a band that hasn't found its sound. And that's what I still say. Those DC. Here we go again with the DC movies.
But they used to make good DC movies.
Like,
there was the original Christopher Reeve Superman.
Okay, that's
even the second one I throw in.
You're talking about
the Christopher Nolan Batman movies. That's recent.
Yeah, all right.
That's recent. I'm just saying, whoever's in charge, they weren't pulling the right reins.
Okay,
that's all I'm saying.
I don't think you're.
There's still
like
good
this.
characters. There's still good stories to be told. There's going to be told more stories. Just they've had a run of bad stories right now. They've made some bad decisions. That's all. And there was a couple questionable choices in this movie as well. Maybe more than a couple. Well, basically what we're saying is, would you recommend... I don't recommend going this in the theater. You don't need to see this in the theater. Would you recommend seeing this at home?
I say that if you care for the book at all, don't see this at all. It's gonna make you...
Just go read the book again?
It's gonna irritate the hell out of you. I think for people that have an attachment to this piece of literature, and it is a piece of American literature.
Yeah.
I think it's no. I think it almost goes out of its way.
The wrong interpretation.
It almost goes out of its way to say, we're not doing it like that.
Right.
It's going to be like you said, it's very much
like giving Superman to Zack Snyder.
It's very much an empowerment movie.
Yeah, it was like giving Superman to Zack Snyder. That's not the right person to tell this story. They're going to put their stamp on it, and it's not the right stamp for this story.
And this is a good stamp, but they could be on a lot of really good stories.
Yeah.
I think we're kind of saying the same thing, though, about how it's... There's a...
I think we are.
It's awkward. There's an awkward...
Yeah.
There's forcedness
It's
about
putting
the whole thing.
this particular lens on this particular story, and it's not the best picture.
It's like saying, I know who should direct Wicked. Woody Allen.
Who's got a very specific vision,
right. Well, and
but it's not right for that story.
What the problem is with the first Annie. It's like, I know who should direct a musical about little girls. John Huston. It's the same kind of...
Annie has some charm.
Yeah, okay.
But is that the best?
No, it was a really dumbass idea, especially since a lot of really cool people wanted to do it.
Right.
Really.
Yeah.
There was some.
I'm curious who they're going to get for this Wicked movie. You know what's going to happen?
I think it's already been. It's Universal.
Well, just make it an animated film.
They're not.
It'll be better.
No, they're not going to.
They're not going to.
No, it's coming out in 2019.
Is it
for Christmas?
Is it already?
Yeah.
Oh, that's unfortunate.
And it's not. It's not.
It's not going to be as good as you think it is, and it's better off as an animated film. Anyway, I'm calling it right now.
I can't believe we totally.
It's not going to be as good as you think it is, and it would be better as an animated film. I agree that
it would be better served.
Yes. All right. So, would you recommend seeing it? No, you said skip it.
I say don't see this.
What if you don't know anything about this story?
I say don't see this movie. Don't
go read the book.
Go read the book
and go watch Selma.
Yes. Yes.
That's a better told story
for everyone involved. Go see her better movie.
Yeah. And go read the book.
And go read the better telling of this story.
Yeah. All right.
And actually find out what the heck A Wrinkle in Time is, which they just don't bother to go for.
Yeah, they just did.
How dumb is that? Over. How dumb is that?
Was it important to the story?
Yes, of course. In the children's novel, there's even a diary.
I'm agreeing with you. Questionable choices.
All right.
Questionable choices.
All right.
All righty.
I'm Louie.
I'm Tony, and this has been
Talking During the Movie. They look like drag queen triplets that just kept showing up in fields.
Can we put the three of them in Tu Wong Fu? Thanks for everything, love, Julie Newmar.
It's basically the same thing.
That would be awesome.
And that would be good animated too.
Yeah.
That would be good animated.
All right.